going. And just have a
Okay.
nice little talk.
Okay.
Could you maybe begin by introducing yourselves and telling me, when did you become part of Newport Covenant
Okay.
Church?
Okay.
I'm Evan Ottesons, and I've been at Newport for about 60.
50. It's as old as our son is, Mark.
Yeah, 50.
52 years. Mark just turned 52, so
Wow, that's
he was
quite
just a
while.
little babe in arms. He was our middle child.
So he's not too far from my age. So that would have been about 1960.
Nick's
Something,
65.
65.
He was born in 65, and later that year, we had been. Evan had been in an internship in California, and but we had established ourselves in Seattle already about 2 or 3, 4 years before that, when Evan was still doing some schooling at UW. And then we were gone a year for his internship, came back with a 3-year-old and then a new baby boy, Mark, and that's when we started Newport Covenant. We had moved to Bellevue, and so it was just...
I moved away for the military, and for 2 years we were in Texas and Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
And then we came back in 1970, having fulfilled our obligation to the military. And we were so tired of moving, we said, we're not gonna move again.
Right.
And it was good for us
So
to settle down.
So we moved back to Newport. We already had been established before at Newport when Evan was in his residency. And so we really knew a lot of the people, and it was just like a big family. And so people remembered us, we remembered them. That was why we came back. It felt like family. Lots of connections. We've been camping with these people. We've been doing young adult Bible studies,
Choir.
we had a great pastor.
Business meetings.
Business meetings.
Building project.
Yes, hiking trips to Rainier, and it was just truly a family feeling.
Yes, yeah. And Evan introduced himself, and your name is?
I'm Gloria.
Your name is Gloria.
Gloria, yes.
Just for the camera.
Yes.
And so, where was Newport meeting when you came?
I met in Victoria area, an old style church with a high white steeple on the northeast corner of the intersection of 405 and I-90.
I-90. I've seen pictures of that chapel. It's a beautiful chapel.
There was one stoplight there.
Right? Does the chapel still exist?
Yeah,
It's still there?
it's not even used as a church anymore.
It's not.
Yeah, that was really fun.
The church was also a place to have fun. We had monthly adult socials, and we were given license to change the church any way we needed to for the party.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was remarkable about Newport Covenant Church, that it was one thing to go to church there in a Sunday morning service or go to an adult Sunday school class, but there was so much else going on that connected our lives, like camping trips, adult socials where our families were much younger. For instance, we created, not me personally, but mostly the guys, created a fuselage in the main worship center of that church. and we had a party. So they gave us tickets, we sat down in the seats, and it was as if we were going to Hawaii. And so that was the mock-up. We were flying
Flying
to,
on the Grace L. Ferguson airline and the Stormbird Company.
it was
Is that right?
sort of a Bob Newhart takeoff.
Yeah.
And,
With the wooden strips covered the whole seating of the church.
of the, yeah,
Of the old
the
chapel,
center
of the
aisle,
old.
the center aisle, and then
Put
the,
sheets of it and we pretend we were in there.
so it was great. And then, most of the women were wearing muumuus, and we had, and then when we arrived, they announced we had arrived, we went down the stairs, and that was a Hawaiian banquet downstairs. Just a big Hawaiian party, and there were flowers strewn across the floors. Women were walking barefoot, and they served, I think they made 1,000 meatballs for that dinner, like teriyaki meatballs, something like that. But it was great fun. It took a lot of work, but we were all probably mostly between in our 20s through 40s, maybe a few early 50s people, but young to middle age. And it was, everyone had lots of energy.
It sounds like great fun.
Yeah, it was.
So you were in your 20s at the time?
We were just turning,
I was 30.
yeah, we were just 30. Julie had just been born. We were both 30, I think, in Denver, and then we moved back we had a new baby.
Yeah.
So, our third, so we must have been 30.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
That sounds like great fun.
Yeah, it was.
I was gonna ask you to, recall some early memories from your
Yeah.
time at Newport, and you're doing it.
Yeah, people were very creative. In fact, there's an elderly member now, Arlene Bemben, and her husband was a banker, and he was probably in his 30s or 40s, or probably late 30s or early 40s. And at one of our socials, he appeared as a ballerina act, and he came out in a pink tutu. And here's this man about 6'2", a little bit portly, maybe. I don't remember, but he really, it was just a big, hilarious to see him coming out to the music and dancing and twirling in his little pink tutu.
That happens in church all the time.
You make memories when you do things like that.
Sunday school class for the young married class. And we met in the kitchen of the church. There was no other room.
Yeah.
Taking up all the adults would be entering into their own Bible study classes. And we met in the kitchen on a Sunday morning. And one of the senior people at church came in and knocked on the door and said, just wanted to check to see how you people are doing and what you're doing, what you're teaching. Well, he said, okay, well, this is what we're teaching. He said, oh, okay. And we didn't realize that, but that was a subtle, unofficial way of welcoming the young families
Right.
into the church and treating them like they're adults.
Yeah.
And being sure we were on in our theology or whatever we
Yeah.
were teaching in
And
that
Whatever
closed
you were
room.
teaching, wanting to make sure it was
In fact-
positive and good.
In fact, one day, one time, it was getting to be New Year's, and the church had a New Year's Eve service, but we decided we wanted our own little buffet dinner somewhere at someone's home, and then we would do our own New Year's Eve service. And a few of the church fathers just weren't, it had never been done before in a home. We were expected to be at church on New Year's Eve. So they were a little bit concerned about that, but it all worked out in the end.
I'm just checking to make sure my technology is still working, and it appears that it is.
So those are fun things.
Yeah, it sounds like it was fun to be a young adult
Oh,
in
it
the
was.
early days. In the early
Yeah.
days at Newport, there was a sense of humor and a lot of
Yeah.
freedom and
Yeah.
a lot of life, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's a
And
good
tell them
thing.
about the talent shows that we had when you and Dave Robley got up and in your yellow fisherman's gear.
One of the skits that we ran was Svanoli, fishermen, Norwegian fishermen.
Yes,
for
right.
Ballard. And we would come on stage and talk about the trials of the fishing profession. And how much time has gone by. You just don't catch them like you thought. And that was fun.
Yeah, it was just jokes. They were just jokes back and forth between the two, Sven and Ole.
Another one was Walter Bueller and I were a German surgeon.
Okay.
And we came out, we had to operate on this person. We had the surgery on this patient, and we had to operate on him. And we had an inner tube down there, stopped with rice pudding. And we found the surgery so difficult that we had to stop and snack on what we were taking out of
They
the.
passed out spoons and said, "Oh, this is pretty good," as it was oozing out. But it was all done behind the screen with a light shine, so you could see their silhouettes.
I see.
And then you could hear their dialogue as they were doing the surgery, and their comments as they were. It was getting messy because they opened up an intestine and were eating there was tapioca pudding coming out. That was for our youth group.
That sounds like great fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my thought was to talk about memories from the early days, which we're doing right now. Maybe even have there been points of challenge or pain for you as part of Newport? Might be a good question to transition to.
And it's not easy to talk about the difficult time.
Yes.
It's not easy, it's not fun to talk about people's mistakes, my own mistakes. But that's part of life.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I think one of my mistakes was not speaking up at times to my pastor when I thought that he needed correction. And I just sort of let him hang out to dry. And I think it took the church congregation, it took the body a while to recover from that. It's not what I said or didn't say, but it was, we went into a spirit of maybe self-satisfaction of pride. And what was really helpful to us was a lay witness weekend or two. And we had the non-church members come in and share their heart. And that really gave us a huge shot in the arm spiritually. Really, it was good.
I think our church congregation, people were pretty well educated people, and they tended not. It wasn't easy to, including ourselves, not easy to get too emotional about things or not to get too embroiled in things. We didn't like conflict, and we didn't take things too personally. Usually, something would have to be really, really wrong before we would get really upset about it and make waves about it. So we tended to maybe gloss over things or not deal with them not address them. And for some people, they would get quite upset over things. We had a lot of other things going on in our lives too. So if something wasn't quite right at church, we just sort of went along with it for a while and hoped it would go away.
Yes, right.
And so, after a while, it probably did go away and new things happened. So we didn't get too embroiled in conflicts or anything like that. But some people probably did have hurt feelings, and we weren't very good at jumping into it with them. We didn't want to roil up the waters.
Right.
So over the years, we've just mainly just appreciated our church, and we've seen pastors come and go. Some were really strong pastors, some not quite so strong, and maybe we should have been more helpful to them and gotten more involved, but we that was sort of our style.
Yes, right. Yeah. Well, what you shared some positive moments from the early years. What positive memories do you have, maybe later in the history of Newport? What has become important? You've stayed at Newport for all these years. Besides faithfulness.
When I came down with Parkinson's, I was bereft. And yeah, I read in James what we're supposed to do if we're sick. Call in the elders and pray with you. And I was reluctant to do that. So I went and talked with Howard Burgoyne.
Yes.
And I said, what do you think about this? And he said, why not? Are you afraid of embarrassing God? And I guess I was. As I was prayed for and anointed, I think I was healed in a number of ways. Not in the symptoms and signs of Parkinson's, but I was healed in my attitude. I was healed in my spirit of thankfulness. I came to realize that there was something that was helping me grow mature in my relationship with Jesus that I'm not sure I would have done without her. And so I think I was healed from much more than I was aware of.
That is such a beautiful testimony. Thank you for sharing that.
One example of being given grace was when our women's group had made plans for a number of us to go back to the women's triennial conference back in Minneapolis. And there must have been 30 women going at least, maybe more, maybe 40, I just can't remember. And I had signed up to go. They were making me, we're all gonna dress the same. This was in the 60s or 70s, back in the flower child days. But we were gonna sort of like pioneer women or something, and all our dresses were going to be the same. So a dress was being made for me, even though I was away with my family vacationing in Minneapolis, which was where we were from originally. So we'd just flown back there, and after a 2-week trip, flown back to Bellevue, or Seattle, and they were getting all the final details taken care of. The plane tickets were purchased by a travel agent, or put together by a travel agent, and I had a ticket. But I was exhausted from the trip of going to Minneapolis once.
Yes.
And I thought, I just don't want to go back to put this dress on and go back to Minneapolis again. I just felt like I was just not taking the responsibility I should, and I should have gone no matter what. But I was just too tired. We had 3 children by then. And so I spoke with Janet Carlson, who headed up the group at that time, I believe, and she said, well, you just need one more fitting for your dress now. And I had to say, we've just come back from Minneapolis, and I think I'm just too tired. And I feel so badly because you've already gotten my ticket. I said, I'd be glad to pay for the ticket for someone else. She said, oh, no worries, don't even give it a second thought. I had built this up in my mind to be a very difficult situation. And she was so gracious and so forgiving that I never forgot it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Did you still get the dress?
I told them to give it to someone else.
Oh, okay.
If they had anyone else who could take it. But I said I'd be happy to cover the expenses, but just to have someone give me that kind of a response was very gracious.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Do you have any, what would be your hopes for the future of Newport Covenant?
I would just like to see us continue to reflect the community that we live in. You know, we're becoming more Asian, we're becoming a little more Black, a more Hispanic, a few couples here and there. And I think our church has done a pretty good job with this. But I just want to see more people come in. Would like to see there be more teaching ministries, more adults, Sunday school classes. People tend to come in for the service, their kids go to the teenage group after they stay for a little while and leave and go to their own class, and then people go home. And we have a small group which we just love, and we're pretty multiracial in there for such a small group, and we just love it just because of the different cultures in it. But we meet after the regular church service is over, that we stay on and go to that. I'd like to see more our church used more on Sunday morning, and I don't know if it's possible because our culture has changed so much. There's sports going on and things, but that's where we grew a lot, by not only going to Sunday morning service and our kids hearing the morning message, but then going on to Sunday school or vice versa for another hour, because we got to know people better. Our spiritual life became deeper by also going to adult education classes, and for teenagers to spend more time together. I'd like to see more of that sort of thing happen, so that we can all grow deeper and know each other better and know the Lord better.
Yeah, that's good, thank you. Evan, do you have a response to that question too?
I think that we have spent too much of our life feeling coerced or feeling shame. And when an opening occurred for us to interrupt the Sunday school class, it was seized on. And nobody confronted us. What are you learning about Jesus that you can pass on to others? You may grow yourself to love Him more and to understand more of the spiritual side of God. We have fun. We laugh in our community.
In our small group.
We laugh because our life is funny.
Yes.
And the Lord has given us a sense of healthy humor. And there are so many activities, clubs, and professional sports, or for that matter, unprofessional sports too. Soccer. I remember when we had our boys and our daughter in soccer, and for the first time the coach called a practice on Sunday morning.
Hmm.
I thought, what's wrong with him? He doesn't get it.
Right.
And I think that we could have, and we still may, encourage people to have fun walking with the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And taste and see that He is good.
Are you saying maybe more Sunday morning groups
Mhm.
where we really get to know each other, and it isn't all super serious?
Yeah.
It's fun too. Priscilla Miller is our leader of our small group,
Mm-hmm.
and she knows how to keep a group in focus. She also knows how to be humorous, and we've learned
Right.
to be humorous with her.
Yeah.
And we have sometimes kind of a hilarious time
Mhm.
together. There's between 8 and 12 of us, and we almost don't want to grow because we feel like a family.
Right.
But I like we have a couple from Nigeria. We have a Chinese gal who just got her CPA certification. She's from Hangzhou. I can't even pronounce it correctly, but it's I think it's in northern China, a little bit toward the north, not too far from Shanghai, perhaps.
Another couple from Jamaica.
From Trinidad, a mother and a daughter, and it's just, I was a part of a team that taught ESL at our church for 7 years, and so during that time, it was just so fun to meet people from these different places, to help them with their English, and of course it was easy because we already knew English.
Yes, right.
It wasn't difficult for us, but they really enjoyed visiting with us in English as best they could, and we'd have potlucks once a month, and they could hardly wait to bring their favorite dishes from their country. But anyway, that has flavored our delight at seeing people from other countries coming into our church and being able to welcome them because of the happy experiences. And then our small group, which is a lot of fun. So that's been a delight. But we'd like to see more opportunities for people to get together informally as well as formally in a Sunday school class. And that we should definitely have Sunday school, or I'd call it adult education for adults in our church. I know the mentality has changed. You just go to church and you go home, but I'd like to see that change.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much.
Mhm.
I think that's a really helpful insight, and I appreciate your willingness to sit with me today and to share your stories and your memories and your heart. It's really very, very helpful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. And now, let's go get lunch.
All right, sounds
Shall we?
good. Sounds very good.